everybody. It's Jay. It's Brian. We are just back from Texas, where the stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. So, this event had some great judges, and unlike a lot of events, the judges had their own theme. They were all about Mavin Zindler, a legendary Texas investigative journalist. And so you had Brian, you had Tom, you had Sajeev, you had Bob. They were doing the most legendary news team ever.
Mavin Zindler, Eyewitness News, here on the case of a new discovery, health code violations. We've got Coors Light in the engine, and it seems to be holding a deep, dark secret. Come in here, cameraman. I want you to see. We see the Coors Light. The spark plugs are flooded. There hasn't been a flood here in at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, flooded with oil, though.
Flooded with oil. This is Texas. Oil floods everywhere.
We're idiots.
You heard it here first. These are idiots racing an American car with a foreign engine. Who is the chief of this driving machine? Hello, Kitty. Tell me about your racing car.
Cars go fast.
Cars go fast. Yeah, I got nothing to follow.
And also, I gotta say, the judges, they were super excited to meet Jerry Wayne Longmire.
At the Ford Sport Track, this guy probably offers to help people move. Like, man, we'll use my truck. And they're like, dude, no, we rented a U-Haul. But you can still help us move boxes. But y'all need to use my truck for nothing? Well, I mean, I need to move my kids' bikes. I guess you could do that. That'd be helpful.
The MSR racers upped their theme game for this race, and there were slabs on slabs on slabs. And oh boy, how the swangers was swanging.
Traffic report.
I got swang.
Even the supply carts were slabbed out. There was a Weenie Hut Jr. theme. There was a group of rookies with a black and mild Pontiac G6. And we had rookie wizards get in on the game, and they had a very interesting backstory. In the ancient days of 2002, a Golf was forged by the Dark Lord Volkswagen. After 22 years of wandering in the wilds, it found its way to the automotive wizards of a team called
Shall not pass!
Recognizing the peril of such a vehicle, this fellowship of rookies sought to destroy it in the fires from whence it came. But first, they had to pass tech inspection.
You cannot pass!
Once they overcame that hurdle, they learned what not to do under a yellow flag.
You shall not pass!
And we had multiple Star Wars themes.
Excellent.
We had a very tasteful Tropic Thunder theme.
I'm the director. Oh, and I'm from London. I direct plays.
We had activists protesting for henchman rights.
Sir, you're live on TV. What are you protesting?
I'm protesting orange things in my face. We demand a better class of evil genius to work for.
They demanding a better class of evil genius. Who is the evil genius now?
Jay Lamb.
We also had a rehash of the IMSA Scouts theme. We had the Rougarou.
What's a Rougarou?
We got from the store because we made for the racetrack.
Did you catch that? Thank you. You're the best interview we've had today.
And the B&B Collective had a beaver theme on their Miata with lots of incredibly tasteful jokes about waxing and shaving, and we don't need to go into that.
Speaking of Miatas, we had a gaggle of Miatas and BMWs.
We also saw the return of the Nader Haters Corvair. Now, we have discussed this car to death, and I think we did in Lemon's World, but I think Brian has a special view on this car. Brian, what is your take?
I think the Chevy Corvair is a true tour de force of motorized chicanery. Incipient iterations of its rear swing axle suspension engender inherently capricious vehicular comportment. This automotive detritus epitomizes ineptitude and sullies the sacred tradition that we have established on this hallowed ground where the rubber meets the road.
What?
Corvair bad.
What else? Scott, we had a hella sweet bunch of rap minis, including a spot-on Mr. T.
It's a rare form of male pattern baldness. You fools!
We had a bunch of rotaries, and they all ran very quiet and civilized.
It's false.
We had like 6 944 Porsches and like 10 Mustangs.
That too many?
One of those Mustangs was the Texas A&M kids. They're great kids, but you know what? They're college kids, so they were speeding in the pits and they were in and out of the penalty box. And finally, the judges just had to give them the new stop-and-go traffic light penalty.
Make sure you don't screw in the paddock. Okay.
Other penalties included the good old saran wrap penalty given to the Beaver team.
I will not spin my beaver in the dry. I will not spin my beaver in the wet.
Schnitzel Sushi got the good old-fashioned Bob Ross penalty. This guy had to spin like a ballerina after spinning on the track. Kind of in the same vein, multiple teams got the flash dance penalty to spin on the car, not in the car. The Silver Mullets in their 2001 Dodge Neon got the brand new ASMR penalty. The number 48 car had a 2009 Crown Vic called the Grandma Jane. This car was dedicated to their grandmother that had recently passed away. They managed to get into quite a bit of trouble, which Grandma Jane probably wouldn't like, so Sajeev took it into his hands to give them their very own penalty, and they had to take that Crown Vic and sex pantherize it.
So, do you think your grandmother would approve of what you've done to her car?
Depends on how you feel about the afterlife. Today is her celebration of life, so she's no longer with us. But I would think that we've done her proud today. But we're very disappointed in ourselves and the mistakes that we've made and the disgrace that we put on the car all over the car.
The watch blamed their on-track mishap on their tires, so of course you have to take your tires and yell at them penalty.
You cosmetic! Pathetic! Damn you!
Why were there so many penalties? Well, for one thing, it was really rainy a lot of this weekend, and that led to people spinning and flying off the track. And that leads us to the first installment of our new segment, Rattle Trap Ruminations.
I don't think spinning out on a crowded, rainy racetrack is the best way to wash your car, but it sure beats sandpaper and a bucket of ketchup.
Another bit of juju of note, Garage 944, a bunch of young kids, super nice. They had an on-track incident, kind of destroyed their car. Good thing is nobody got hurt, and they were able to do this at the end. And weather is always hard on aircraft, so the Carliner 787 had a bit of a crash landing.
And here are your class winners.
All right, let's move on to the trophies. The first one I want to talk about is the special GM Sound of Power trophy. This went to a team that used to run a BMW with a Honda motor. We gave them some grief for that. So they said, okay, well, we won't do that anymore. We're just going to put the Honda motor in another Honda. Oh, yawn. And they took second place overall. We didn't like that either. So next time, we told them we want to see a GM Sound of Power 2.8 V6 in this car, or don't come back.
Our next award, called the High Life Sippin' and Texas Tippin' Award, went to a Miata. Now, most Miatas they're pretty okay, but this one came with a pretty powerful theme. They went full-on slab with this bad boy. They had the swangers, they had the trunk pop, they had Miller High Life on the roof, they had Miller High Life in the engine compartment, they had Miller High Life on their clothes, except for one guy who misunderstood the High Life part maybe a little bit.
Another special award was the Hella Sweet Award. This went to Spectrum Racing. They were doing a charity event for autism awareness. They showed up as rookies. They really had a lot of things figured out. They did a really good job on this, except a little bit of a problem with their cage. In fact, so much of a problem that they said, we're just going to hire a guy right now. They spent $4,000 to get this cage sorted out, went right to tech, failed horribly. They had to go all the way back to the guy's shop with the car, show him all the things that he did wrong. They had one guy stay at the track just to sleep to be fresh when the car came back. Got it done, got in the race. Well done, guys. Actually, now that I'm remembering it, there was one other thing. See if you can picture what's wrong here.
The Butt Terrible Award went to a super crusty 86 Fiero, one of my favorite cars. It showed up, it was disgusting looking. It failed tech immediately. They had to work and work and work to get it going, and then when they did get it back on track, it had crabs.
Crabs.
I mean, it was crabbing on the track.
The heroic fix went to Event Horizon and what? Their Plymouth Horizon. Car is run by Lee Childers. He does prosthetic care and assembly. He's a great guy, and we love to see him running. For this race, he brought a real hot 16-valve Super Genie motor YU Rune Classic. Needless to say, that thing exploded in giant clouds of steam and fire. So, over the course of the whole weekend, had to take an old 8-valve motor, make that thing work, get it back in the car.
6.5 hours later.
Finally got the car back out on the track, running the way that it always should have run, with a junky, crappy 8-valve motor. Heroic.
The I Got Screwed trophy went to Team Lowball. Now, it's always great to see AMCs at Lemons, and this team brought 2 of them.
Yeah, you know, we had 2 of them.
They had a 1974 AMC Gremlin and a 1982 AMC Spirit, which is appropriately named because they're holding on to the specter of AMC.
So how did it do?
Well, it went from 0 to hero to Class C leader to hella blown up. Their oil pump crapped out, and they were awarded the I Got Screwed for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Well,
Judge's choice went to the Electric Lizards. Now, this is a family team. They only learned about Lemons by watching YouTube and seeing wrap-ups. They decided, well, why wouldn't we do that? They brought their 2-month-old baby. They brought their son. Their son brought his pet frog. Their kids helped with the theme by gluing lizards onto the car. They made delicious ice cream with nitrogen in the paddock.
Yes, science!
Now, needless to say, they had a whole litany of issues. They had electrical gremlins, wiring harness melted down, all kinds of horrible things. Didn't stop them from laughing and having a good time and just being a delight. Even though none of them got any sleep at all Saturday night, they were back on the track Sunday. They baked cookies, they sold them for charity and gave the money to Ranger Road. It is great to see rookies that get it, and that was these guys.
The organizer's choice went to Bent Rods in their 2005 Ford Taurus. First of all, these rookies need a better theme, but they made up for it with their mad Vulcan power.
I object to power without constructive purpose.
They have a cast iron Vulcan engine. It isn't flashy, it isn't sporty, but it is durable and dependable. They put big old brakes on it, but what's most remarkable about this car is how totally unremarkable it is. It ran like a mundane train down pit lane in the rain again and again and again. Organizer's choice.
Halloween Meets Gasoline trophy went to the Shopaholics and their Whataburger theme, by which I mean they had Whataburger costumes, and most importantly, they brought us, the staff, Whataburgers all weekend long, even after their car crapped out. That was pretty great.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Turns out to win an HMG, all you gotta do is just be really dedicated to your theme and pass a health inspection.
Eyewitness News with the first restaurant in all of Houston to pass the health inspection. Sir, tell us about your vehicle.
It's a real clean restaurant. I don't know what to do with my hands.
He doesn't know what to do with his hands. It's a clean restaurant. Congratulations on putting together such a fine specimen.
The IOE goes to Team Sensory Assault. Now, this is a team of rotary nerds that we haven't seen in at least a decade. And boy, did they come back fierce. They brought a Mazda REPU. That's right, a REPU. Look it up. It has a passionate, cult-like following in the rotary world. It blends workhorse utility with sports car thrills. One of the only mass-produced rotary pickups. There was like only a few thousand made, which I guess qualifies this for the YU Ruin Classic. These guys brought one knowing it was going to be a showstopper. It had a rear wing, complete with speed limit signs. It had a washing machine fuel cell that needed extra safety inspection, but still amazing. It was one of the rustiest cars by far that we have ever seen. You needed a tetanus shot just to properly inspect it. It was so rusty, they had issues with the hood pins, and they had to put wood in it.
Wood. What can't it do?
This message brought to you by the Wood Council.
Now, despite all that they had to go through, they ran all weekend long. They took the green flag, they took the checkered flag. Well done.
Okay, time for Lemons in a Nutshell.
Every second you don't subscribe or watch one of these videos, another Vega is sent to the crusher. Won't you help us save Classic?